Hello and welcome to AATV's Big Question webcast. This week, should accountants pay themselves for the protection of the term of the accountant? With me to discuss that issue is Philip Turnbull. Philip, you're from the Association of International Accountants. Your proposal that members or accountants, qualified accountants, should pay for that privilege of having the term protected. Why have you made that proposal?
Well, I think it is very important in the public interest that accountants are professionally qualified, and it is a privilege to be a professional person, and I think as part of that privilege it comes with the requirement to actually pay. Now, as the Association of International Accountants, we support the proposal that the term accountant be brought into statute, and we propose that that should be paid for by the individuals who are going to have this privilege to offer services to the public.
So what would they actually be paying for? For the enforcement of the term, in some way, of the protection?
Well, if we step back from that, the actual enforcement, I suppose we have to have statute come in and actually put it in statute that this term is restricted. And to actually make that possible, we're proposing that accountants pay towards the actual administration costs of actually putting that into place.
Now, surely that's something government should be doing, isn't it? Not the membership itself. If the government was that concerned about having this term protected, surely it's something that we should be doing publicly.
Well, there are the various arguments in that area, but I think the accountancy profession as a whole is committed to putting the term into statute and also protecting the public. And I think this shows the willingness of the profession by saying that we would propose as the association that our members who offer services to the public actually contribute to making that actually possible. Now, there are lots of regulations being put forward, and these things cost. And there are many arguments for doing this, putting this proposal into place, and there are arguments against. Now, this is a way of actually helping the proposal go forward, and we believe that is in the public interest, and so we're proposing that our members make a contribution to that.
Now, it's interesting that you've come forward with a proposal to cover the cost of the administration. Does that mean you think the argument's been won that this term should be protected and restricted to a certain group of qualified accountants?
Well, I think we as the AI are putting this forward in the public interest, and I believe that the arguments against are valid, but I don't think they actually mitigate the fact that we as accountants should be protecting the public. The other professional bodies are supporting this as well. I don't think this is a question of a group of trade associations, which I suppose accountancy bodies can be called as well, putting forward a case where we would protect our members. That's not what it's about, and I think it would fail if we took that approach. But I believe if we go forward in the public interest, protecting people, we can help that process move forward by actually offering to pay for some of the regulation that is required.
Now, to the best of your knowledge, is there the empirical evidence out there that the public is being harmed by non-qualified people calling themselves accountant and functioning in that manner?
Well, I don't think there's actual specific evidence, but there's certainly evidence that if you are in practice and you're offering services to the public, the public should have the comfort that they know that this person is suitably qualified, that they've taken professional examinations, they've got the relevant experience. And when you become a qualified accountant, that's not it. You have to continue on doing professional education. So that is another very important area that the public should have the confidence in the profession that when they're choosing somebody, that they can actually say that this person is qualified, he's regulated, and he's also up to date. Now, with people who are not members of professional bodies, who are offering services to the public, this is not the case. Now, you wouldn't go to a doctor who wasn't qualified. And it should be the same for when you choose an accountant. Now, there are lots of arguments that say it's going to reduce competition, that it's an increased burden for regulation, that it's going to be added costs for small businesses. Now, all of those arguments are valid, but I think the overriding public interest puts those arguments to the side, because you know, if competition is the most important thing, well, competition shouldn't be affected by somebody offering services to the public that aren't qualified to do so. Now, if it was a doctor, you wouldn't say, well, we'll increase the number of doctors by reducing the regulation and allowing anybody to become a doctor, so there's greater competition in the market, because the people who are offering the services wouldn't have the skills to actually administer to the public. And I think the arguments are valid, but they're not, that can be overcome, and we can come forward with a scheme that benefits the public and gives them reassurance when they do choose an accountant, they're choosing somebody that's qualified.
Okay. And the discussion about which members of which particular professional bodies would be covered by a protected term, is that still to be had, or is it a fairly cut and dried thing to select those bodies?
Well, I think the professions have all decided they want to go forward and support the term accountant being protected, as we do. But I think we need to go for wider consultation. Now, for example, in Ireland, they've done this. They've gone out and they've had a consultation document. They've put it to stakeholders. They've commented, and after all of that consultation, they've come together and said it's a good idea. And I think we need to do that here in the UK. It's not just from the accountancy profession to say we want to support this, because we'll all look as though we're just trade associations supporting restriction, putting new restrictive practices in place. That's not what it's about. So I think we need to go out there and ask the stakeholders in the economy what they actually think about it. And then after that's done, come to a conclusion, yes or no, then look at how we're going to finance it, who's going to regulate it. But I think there is still a lot of discussions that needs to be actually performed in that area.
If all these hurdles can overcome, just very quickly, what kind of time frame do you envisage on the term going on the statute books?
Well, how long is a piece of string? I think it's a very difficult area because there are lots of points to be considered. However, I can see that in Ireland, to use the example where it's actually taken place, they've gone out for consultation, they've got the comments back. Probably maybe two years. I think we could do it within 2 years if we have the commitment. Okay. But we need the commitment from the regulators, and we also need the commitment from the government. And as the AIA, we're approaching all the MPs in Parliament to garner their support. There has been an early day motion put down where they had, I think it was 56 MPs put forward their names, and we're supporting that, but trying to get further support across all parties, because we don't believe that this is not a political issue. It's not partisan. I think everybody from all different parties can support it.
Okay, well, I'm sure the readers will be looking to see how that develops over the next couple of years. Philip Turnbull, thanks very much for coming in.
No, it's been a pleasure. Thank you.
And that's all from AATV's Big Question webcast this week. Join us again at the same time and in the same place next week. Thank you. Bye-bye.